about before we open up. But I want to call two people up here to pray. I want to call Brother Clyde Jones from the Christian sect, and I want to call Brother Nate from the Islamic sect, so that we can include everybody in prayer. So Brother Clyde, please come up. Brother Nate, please come up. Either one of y'all want to start first?
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? In the Muslims tradition, you'll see us face the east when we pray. But here today, we'll just ask you to stand and place yourself in a position of whatever is most comfortable. And we're going to go through a few words, and we'll be done. So everyone stay in a position that's comfortable. In the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful. All praises are due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, beneficent, the most merciful. Master is their judgment in which we now live. To thee alone do we serve, to thee alone do we beseech for thine aid. O Allah, guide us along the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, and not the path of those who have gone astray. Ameen.
Let's bow our head. Father God, we thank you today for your grace and your mercy. Thank you for your love and kindness. God, we thank you just for this gathering. We thank you for life, health, and strength. Father, we just give your name praise for the gathering of brothers and sisters here today, Lord. We pray, God, the words of our mouth, meditation of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight. For you are our Redeemer, and you are our strength. And we give you great praise. I pray that you would guide our conversation. You would speak to our hearts, bring clarity, bring understanding, like only you can. We give your name the praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So I want to give a brief background into peace. Peace has been a long sought after idea since the dawn of humankind. Throughout history, various cultures and societies have attempted to achieve a state of peace and tranquility, only to be continually thwarted by conflict and war. Today, peace is more important than ever. In a world driven by consumerism and globalization, the potential for violence and war remains ever present. The term peace has been around for thousands of years, with it being highlighted in many religious texts across the world. The earliest known reference to peace appears in the Old Testament of the Bible, where it is associated with the concept of shalom, which contains elements of both physical and spiritual. Throughout history, various theorists have attempted to codify and define the idea of peace. Immanuel Kant argued that peace should be based on rational thinking and the respect for international laws and principles. In the 19th and 20th century, the concept of collective security through cooperative internationalism was largely adopted by many. The League of Nations and the United Nations were both established with the hope of achieving peace, coexistence between countries, and further global stability. To speak in modern terms, we all cry for peace within our communities because we have kind of like went away from peace within the black community. The black community is suffering from, we're actually suffering from an identity crisis right now. So today becomes way more important because whereas in the generation where I was coming up, our moms could strike the fear of the devil in us. Today you can't strike the fear of the devil in kids because you've gotten away from the religious entities that kept us grounded in doing right and wrong. So now wrong becomes right, or wrong becomes so acceptable in our culture. Many blame hip hop for this. Would you please do not say anything, sir? Please. The growth of hip hop as a foundational element of the African American culture has been rapid and pervasive. From a celebration of rebellion and individual expression to an often militant call for black power, hip-hop has emerged as a focal point of black identity. As hip-hop's influence has grown, so has its reach into the spirituality of the black community. Spirituality has become subsumed within a lifestyle culture that excludes traditional forms of religious practice. Most hip-hop culture is loaded with themes of materialism, violence, disrespect for authority, and so forth. These themes have engulfed the traditional values of religion, such as being God, fearing, and loving, and instead promote an attitude of boasting and self-centeredness. There's a lot of negatives that we are placed upon hip-hop. When we look at how most people go into crimes, most people psych themselves up by listening to a hip-hop anthem that'll get into their psyche and make them act in a certain way. The negatives far outweigh the positives where hip-hop is concerned. The negative also does the same thing as far as religion is concerned. And getting away from the traditions that we are brought up in, whether it's Islamic or the Christian world, we seemingly allow Satan to kind of win out in certain instances. The positives don't outshine the negatives, especially when you're thinking about consumerism. To sell music, nowadays, you kind of got to talk more to the negative than the positive. And you talk away from God when you talk the negative. God is needed in our society. God is especially needed within the black community.
That's right.
We ask for solutions often to the problems that's plaguing our communities. And we never think about God.
Right.
Until we're in pain. But we are in pain every day when someone dies. So God is always there. So we gotta get back to bending our knees. We gotta get back to praying over our kids.
Yes, sir.
We gotta get back to letting the leaders lead. Those are our spiritual people. When you look at everything through our history, from the inception of man on the continent of Africa, we've always went to our spiritual leaders. Our spiritual leaders was healers in Africa. We always went to them. We had one successful slave revolt in the history of this country. It was in 1791 on the island of Haiti. At the time, it was St. Dominique. We went to our spiritual leaders to get that going so that we could be rebellious enough to fight against the evils that wanted to force us into chattel slavery. Hello? Sorry, I hope y'all was hearing me anyway. So we always looked to our spiritual leaders to lead us. During the 60s, when we was coming out to be a real force in this country. We looked to our spiritual leaders. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Those are the names that will always stand forward and withstand the test of times in this country. Today is very, very, very important to us. It's trial and error, but it's gonna grow because the people that really care, they're gonna show up. And everyone knows that it's from the heart, it's from the soul. Certain religious leaders was, they felt a bad way about the title, Peace Summit, has religion taken a back seat to hip hop. And I think that people misconstrued what I was saying. Today is about the hip hop community and the religious community coming together. And it's about us bridging the gap so that it doesn't be a divide. Because we're divided on that plateau, just like we're divided between young and old. We gotta take the divisions away because the divisions are what's keeping things going so astray within our communities. I want to quote this passage before I let Ms. Dominique come up. This passage is me speaking this passage is me speaking to not just our religious leaders, but to everybody, the whole body of the church. And when I say church, the mosque is included in this. This is taken from Luke 4:18 through 19. It's up plastered also. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty in captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the acceptance year of the Lord. I quote this scripture because we need our religious leaders. We don't need our religious leaders to shun things like this. When it's time for you to do God's work, you got to come out and do God's work. You can't say that, oh, I'm mad about this. And I'm not trying to, I hope no one is feeling salty about this. But I'm speaking out of love, and I'm speaking out of need. We need more than the pastors that's up there now and the minister. We need our religious community to get back where it's supposed to be so that we can have the guidance and the leadership that we need to get us out of these dark times. Because our kids no longer have a godly guided mission. It's all satanic. Even some of the music we listen to, we glorify death. Black people has never glorified death. When you look at it, where we come from a high climate. But life is taking its course. The other people came from a cold climate where everything dies. So we got to understand that we once never embraced skulls and bones and skeletons. Now we tattoo on them. So we've gotten away from who we are as a people. We've been misguided. So we got to look to our hip hop community, which has become our leaders, to guide us back along that path of where we need to be in. Because the church houses and the mosques need to be filled on Saturdays and Sundays.
That's right.
So without further ado, I bring up Ms. Dominique so we can get things going.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Terrence, for inviting me to be the moderator of this event. I think this is a topic that we definitely need to continue to talk about in the media, continue to talk about in our churches, and with the music, and with our hip-hop artists and other genre of artists as well. I just want to begin by telling Terrence that I'm proud of him. Today is his 3-year freedom anniversary. I think I said it right. I remember meeting Terrence 3 years ago, shortly after he was released from Angola, and we did several stories, and I tell you, he has not stopped trying to make this community a better place ever since he's been home. So I do want to thank you, Terrence, for what you're doing in our community. Yes. I've told you before, delayed is not denied. And sometimes the things, when you're doing positive things, it becomes unpopular to some people, but continue to do what you do. For you that don't know, he has an organization, PIPES, Priorities, Intentions, Practical Exchanges. I got it right. And for all the people in PIPES, please stand if you're a part of PIPES. Thank you so much for what you do and for also backing Terrence. It takes some great people to be behind a great organization. And we thank you guys for going to the Shreveport Police Department and having those open dialogues when we need them in the community. And I am here to tell you, as long as I'm with the media and KSLA, we will continue to push the positive things that you guys are doing. Do we have any elected officials in the audience or on stage? Any elected officials? Okay. I do also want to thank the pastor of Morning Star Baptist Church, Pastor Theron Jackson. Thank you for opening your sanctuary. And certainly thank you for being a pastor who not only walks the walk but talks the talk. Just recently we had a power outage in this area and so many people were without power, and Morning Star opened their church for people to come and get cool, to get some water. And so thank you for being a part of the community in the Moortown area. So this is what we're going to do. If we can silence the phones, we're going to do everything in order. We do have some microphones in the aisles. At one point, there will be a chance for anybody in the congregation to come forward and ask questions from our panel. We're going to introduce the panel in just a moment. I have some questions that we will pose to the panel and have an open dialogue. Terrence and I, we are working, we just got approval from my management to work on a documentary, much like the Black History documentary that you saw in February called Don't Stop, Just Keep Going. So we're gonna be working on one about crime and how do we get to this point and how do we get better. And I think one of the possibilities of how we take this crime and get rid of it is with our pastors. Once we learned in the documentary Beyond Galilee as well, Beyond Galilee was not my documentary, but Beyond Galilee touched on this as well as my documentary, Don't Stop, Just Keep Going. Pastors were very involved during the civil rights era. And so we need those pastors to be just as involved in the hip hop era as well and kind of bridge that gap like Terrence was saying. Before we begin, I would like to introduce our panel. And you can just introduce your name and if you are a pastor on the panel, a minister, or a hip hop artist or whatever genre, please introduce yourself, and we will start with this young man right here.
My name is Brandon Williams. My stage name is Hot Boy Gator or just Gator. I'm growing out of the Hot Boy stage and just going into Gator.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm student minister Marvin Muhammad, Nation of Islam.
Thank you.
I'm Reverend Dr. Alan Thomas, pastor of New Friendship Baptist Church. I'm one of the sons of the house of Peaceful Rest Baptist Church with Dr. Arthur Jones as my pastor.
My name is Jeremy Williams, but my artist name is Big Sack. I'm a local staple. A lot of people know me, and they know that, I try to push for a positive cause, and I've always been a part of this hip hop community here in this area, and so I just want to keep time.
Thank you.
Bobby Jones, go by now to Street 12, rising artist from Shreveport, Cooper Road area. Just looking for something to change, you know what I'm saying? So, push this agenda, we're gonna work towards bettering ourselves and bettering each other.
Good afternoon, my name is Theron Jackson. My stage name is Pastor. pray. Come ye who have no fear of what tomorrow brings, shall start praying for a better world, for peace and all good things. Ooh, come ye who still have hope, that we can still survive. Start fighting for this better world, to fight and stay alive. Come ye who still have love. It's time for us to take a stand. Don't mind all the debts that must be paid for the love of our fellow man. Come ye who would have peace. It's time to take a stand. Start fighting for our better world, for peace and all good things. Come ye.
Thank you so much. Right now, we're going to jump into our panel discussion, and we're going to begin with the theme question: has religion taken a back seat to hip hop? And feel free to jump in. Just make sure you're speaking into the microphone, and you can piggyback different questions off of each other, answers, and then we'll go to the next question. Has religion taken a back seat to hip hop?
Well, I believe religion has its own course, so is hip hop, and I believe a lot has to do with the violence and a lot of things. It has to do with a lot with the music, the influence that they've been putting out to us, but in the same sense, religion has an influence of its own too, and I can't really compare the two. But I can say a lot of change, a major change, can come from bringing it together.
Amen. Well, I like to say, hip hop and religion, it started hand in hand. Earlier days of hip hop, earlier like Grandmaster Flash, all of those guys, Rakim, all of those guys, they started teaching the ways of the 5%ers, the 5% Nation, which was influenced by the Nation of Islam that started in Harlem in 1964. A lot of those guys spoke of the 5% Nation, which is the nation of the gods and the earth, in their music. So the aspect of religion was always in hip hop. Somewhere along the line, it strayed away from that. It strayed away from the teachings that were being put in the music. The music, a lot of the music nowadays has no message. A lot of the music we had when I was coming up, when I was younger, a lot of the hip hop music, you would have your music that was party music without a message, but a lot of the stuff we had on the radio
was influenced with religion and a message in the music. The way they promote the music nowadays has totally gotten away from that. So that's why we don't hear no type of nothing positive. There's still positive artists out there, but that's not what's being presented to us, because in my eyes, and the way I feel like the big machine want us against each other, and they don't want us to have that cohesiveness with the message in the music.
That's right.
You see, so that's why I'm at with it, and I'm not a real religious person. I have good friends, Christians. I have good friends that are Muslim. I always look at it as a divide with the religion, just religion itself, because we all praying to one higher power. That's just my thought. But with hip hop, we're definitely at a place where there is no message, and we've totally gotten away from the message and the religion that was actually put in there in the beginning. And for the youngsters, if they want to go back and listen to any of that music, you would hear the message. A lot of these guys in here, the older guys, they know, but that's just my stance on it.
I just want to say amen to what was being said. I will tell you that as a person who is a researcher of the culture, that both hip hop and the church took a left turn, and around the 1980s, late 80s, early 90s, both of them. Because hip hop used to be about positive things. It used to be about uplifting each other, about putting things, quite frankly, that if you put out there right now would be seen as corny, right? It used to be, wasn't nobody shooting over hip hop, hippity hip hop, so, and what nobody fighting about what Ron DMC is talking about and those folks. And so there was an evolution and towards something that was different. But both the church and hip hop took a left turn chasing the bag. Both took a left turn over prosperity, whatever you want to call it. They both took a left turn. When hip hop became about gangs and guns and drugs and street life and activity, it was about getting some money. It went from the Ron DMC to New Jack City, right? Where now nobody wanted to be James Brown, everybody wanted to be Nino Brown, right? And the same thing happened in the church. When the church got away from being about its community and education, we had no more schools that our churches had within our schools. We no longer educated our children. We're the only people on the earth who allow the oppressor to educate their children. You will never find a Jewish family sending their children to a German finishing school. We're the only people who've done that. It's because we have abandoned those things. Because people started talking about money cometh and favor and naming and claiming and tagging and bagging and call it and haul it. And if you got a car and a house, God must be giving you favor. We started chasing favor instead of service. And when that happened, both hip hop and the church find themselves now in the back seat of the wrong car. And that's the biggest problem. And so I want to just suggest that I don't want to be ubiquitous in any kind of blame game. I will say that not every hip hop artist and not every church have taken that left turn. But so many have, and we have painted too many people with a broad brush and made every. It is what it is. Every hip hop artist ain't giving back to change his community. Every church ain't giving back to change their community. We ought to be judged by what we're producing and the people we are saving, in the sense of making sure that people are better because we exist.
Amen.
Hello. Yes, I echo what Pastor Darren Jackson said. I think he said what he said very well. I echo what Brother Sack, my friend, said. And I think he said what he said very well. But just to add on to something that I want to touch on is that regardless of the situation and our surroundings, we all are still faced with an individual choice. And it comes down to the choices that we make, because our choices put us in certain positions. Once you understand what is right, and once you understand what is wrong, I think that individually we all are held responsible and accountable for our own actions. So therefore, I don't think that the church has taken a back seat when it comes to hip hop in their mission, because the churches are always open. The doors of the church is always open. And religion is not something that we are accustomed to forcing down the throats of people, regardless of how much you see it, because you're not in position of the projection of a certain religion. Religion is about seeking and finding a relationship with the higher power. And I just believe that once you choose life, that the truth is out there for you to find. So I don't think that the church has taken a back seat and religion has taken a back seat when it comes to hip hop. We're just living in some vicarious times, and I think people are making the wrong choices. And like I said before, I echo what Pastor Darren said. They have started chasing the bag. It's hard not to tell a person to do something when they see poverty and they're surrounded by poverty and hunger and bad situations, to tell them not to seek, to search for something that will make them better and bring them out of the condition that they're in. So we just can't focus on pointing the finger on religion. We have to be responsible for ourselves. And I think that charity starts at home with the love. I think oftentimes that parents put the blame on everybody, but who the blame needs to be on. If you had a child, you're responsible for the child, and you're responsible for teaching the child. And all in the same, I just think that it takes a village to raise a child. And the thing of it is that no one want to be told what to do, and no one want to be told when they're wrong. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Angelina. I'm listening to what both of the pastors have said. I did a piece a while ago where I reached out to several pastors, and they had different opinions about whether the church, whether they should go out into the community and bring those back into the church, or whether they wanted people from the community to come into their church. Where does the church's role stand as far as going out into the community? I hear what you're saying, Dr. Thomas, about if you're ready, you'll come. But what is the responsibility of the church in going out and meeting those where they are? And the reason why I say that is we're coming off the heels of Mental Health Awareness Month, right, Angelia, June? Mental Health Awareness Month. And we know that from research, a lot of our African American children are hurt. They're hurting, they're dealing with a lot of mental health issues. So I'm not sure if they're gonna come to the church or if the church needs to go to them.
Amen.
I certainly agree with what you're saying. I believe that we all can do a better job in our capacities. But oftentimes you see fingers pointed at the religious groups, okay? And it's not like the religious groups are not visible. Yeah, true enough, there is what we call evangelism, where we must go out, and there's a mission where we must go out and seek and search for those that are lost, of course, but I do understand that that's not the full capacity of the operation of the church. But the thing about it, I just came to the conclusion that it's still, regardless of whether we bring the church to the people, I'm often visible myself. I can only speak for myself. I have a large ministry way before I even thought about that. I'm out here, as some of the rappers say, I'm in these streets like country. And so I'm out here doing my part, and I don't point fingers at other people for what they don't do, because everybody don't specialize in the same ministry. And so you have some that feel comfortable going out there. I'm more comfortable, to be honest with you, out there than I am in the church.
What are you hearing out there?
Ma'am?
What are you hearing out there?
Well, I'm hearing what people actually basically want their needs met. Like Pastor Darren Jackson said, people chasing the bag. And if you can't come, with the bag, I was raised by an elder pastor, the late Dr. G.W. Dolan, and he once told me that before you can preach,
to a person. If they're hungry, you have to feed them first.
That's
And so,
right.
we have to meet and focus more on the needs of the people before we can, push or present religion to them. Because, you know, it's hard to have the undivided attention of someone when they're facing, harsh realities. So I think, resources, and meeting the needs of people would help out. You know, when I'm out there and I'm talking to people, you know, you can't talk to a person about God or religion, and they hungry and they got bills or you know, they have something that they're stressing about within their life. You have to meet their needs first, and then you have to show them God by your capacity of grace and concern and love for their situation.
All right, we'll move on to the next question, and I think we've answered this in a way. Does hip hop play a role in the violence in the community? You know, it seems like every morning we're waking up and we're talking about different homicides that have happened, and almost 99%, maybe 98%, I think was the last statistic last year, or halfway through the year, was our African homicide. So does hip hop play a role? And I think I heard someone say, you know, from the days of hip hop when there was a message, and now it's, you know, calling women out of their names, it's glorifying guns, you know, and high-powered rifles and things like that. Where does hip hop take responsibility? And I realize that not all hip hop is bad. Or has a negative message, but where does hip hop play a role in the violence in the community, and how can we switch that? Because if someone is already taking the bait to, I love this, I love what they're saying, I love the negative, I love the syrup, I love the guns and stuff, how do you change that?
To build on that question, I want to go back to the first question: has religion taken a backseat to hip hop? Taking a backseat to hip hop, not in a conscious way, but it has, in terms of the influence that religion has on our young people versus the influence that hip hop has on our young people. Our young people, the vast majority of our young people, our young black males, are in the streets, and they are under the influence of hip hop. Now, this paper, The Final Call, you see it says hip hop at 50. Hip hop just turned 50 years old this year. And so, as Big Zach just mentioned, in the early days when the young rappers started out, they were listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and others in the conscious world, and they started putting music over the minister's message. And it was all designed to be conscious at that time. Well, there is a cause to the effect. Someone at the top, as Brother Pastor mentioned, started to turn us without us realizing that we were being turned. And so gangster rap and chasing the bag became the objective of the rap community. So, can everyone hear me? So that's a part of the plot to control the masses of us as a community by putting a negative spin on that was uplifting us and bringing us together. And so now we do see hip hop playing a role in the destructive behavior that we see happening in the community. when we are talking to our young people, we hear many times that they are very much influenced by the negative rap, the gangster rap. And so from that, they start trying to live that negative lifestyle. So it has a direct influence on the behavior of our young people.
Just to kind of piggyback on something I heard this man say, a lot of the stuff, like when going out in the street, these kids are people that are starving and they want to be heard. And it's like when you look at certain people who come from a background similar to yours or similar to you or look like you,
they're getting the attention and they're following what they see them do to get the attention. So if I have an issue with someone and I address it verbally through song and that song becomes popular and this gentleman knows about my situation and he like, yeah, I was there with that. He's able to fuel their fire and people will follow that because it's like, it's entertainment to them because it's not their story. They're hearing about it. But this is actually these people's lives and they're putting their lives at risk for this attention. Social media plays a part in it. It fuels the fire. The music plays a part in it. The imagery, like you said, high-powered rifles, guns. People want, 100-round drums on a assault rifle. And you got like illegal modified weapons and things like that that's being glorified through hip-hop. And that's what the youth is chasing because it's like, if I got this, they'll think I'm cool. If I have this, they'll think I'm cool. I'll be accepted. So when you're in these situations where you have less than, whatever you can get your hands on or whatever you can be a part of that'll make you feel like you're being accepted by your peers or the ones that you're growing up around or the crowd that you're trying to pursue, that's what they're doing. And it's causing a bigger issue just by trying to be accepted.
So how do you get to the head of the organization that is spewing the negative, the assault rifles? I think somebody up here said that at one point the message that they were giving was, is different from the message today. I wasn't sure if it was you or you. What is your message today and how can you influence others to step away from the violence of genres of hip hop, R&B, rap?
A lot of that has to do with just growth, just mental growth. The way when you say get to the top within the industry and how the music is being presented and being marketed to us, those people at the top have switched the agenda. Just like Pastor Theron Jackson said, it's about the bag. So if we offer you a lot of money to continue to put out all this negative music, from the hood, poverty, you're gonna do what you gotta do to get the money. And you also have a guy on the side that's just, and probably way more talented than this guy talking about these guns, but he got a message, but we don't wanna put that message in the community. I feel like they wanna, like they just want us to be at each other's throats. So when you try to get to the top, it's gonna take us, our black community to pull together and create something for us. Get behind one another, whether they're positive. And I can say, with me, like, I was a big NWA fan. Those guys looked just like the guys in my neighborhood. But at that time, what I didn't realize until I got older was that's when the whole thing started to shift as far as the gangster rap, and that's how the negative was being put out there. Yeah, I loved it. A lot of us loved it. Yeah. But it's taken us so far to where we're at this point now, to where that big machine, that's all they know. Well, as long as they talking about killing each other and shooting, we gonna run up the views. That's right. You know what I'm saying? You got somebody over here talking something positive. He got a good message, good song. He ain't running up the views because that ain't what they want us to have. So I just feel like it takes us as a community. The citizens, the pastors, the churches, like Minister Marvin Hill, we had a program that he brought me into at the mosque, and it was Hip Hop Wednesdays. It was a dope event. like he was just telling me when I got up here, we need to get back to it. I don't know why we got away from it, but it was something that was pretty dope, and I felt like if it would have been promoted, and I dibble and dabble in a lot of stuff that's kind of positive and to be promoted around here, but people don't tend to come to that stuff. And I don't know why, you know, I mean, it's just enough talent in that as it is in the foolishness, you know, so to go off what you said, like my message, it comes with growth. Because at one point, I was giving out the gangster music, but it wasn't just the kill part. It was about, you do this, you got these consequences to face too. And I still preach that message. It's just a little bit more positive now because I'm a lot older, and I'm definitely not on the front lines out there trying to fight for my life, because I don't have to be out there like that no more. But the message is in the music, and like I say, it starts with us as a community, as a community as a whole, and we got to try to get that together without clashing with each other and push for one cause.
Let me ask if the media, the role, and I'm a big girl, so you won't hurt my feelings, but what role does the media have in all of this? And I will say this, Terrence knows that he can email me, call me, text me, and come on the show. So we have a platform of KSLA Cafe where we basically talk about things that are happening in the community. So Minister Muhammad, if there's something that is positive that you're doing once you start it back up, that's how I feel like that's how we're gonna reach the kids or the young adults that need to be reached, is possibly sharing it on television and having you say, hey, I was there, I once was you. But I think the media serves a purpose too. What do you think about that?
Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, of course, the Nation of Islam always get a bad rap in terms of being accepted and our message getting out there. You know, here, Minister Farrakhan is pictured in 2001 with the rappers that had a hip-hop summit with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This was right after, in 1997, after Biggie and Tupac was killed. Snoop reached out to the minister and called the rappers from the West Coast, the East Coast, the Midwest, and the South to Chicago to sit and iron out their beefs. That was in 1997. Another hip-hop summit was called by Russell Simmons, the hip-hop mogul, and he called a hip-hop summit with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 2001, where all of the rappers came together. Now, this is recorded history, but to a lot of people, you've never heard it. You've never heard it because there has been sanctions against the Nation of Islam in terms of keeping our positive influence out of the media. And so our job, like what Brother T. Wynn is doing today, is to come together to unify with pastors like Pastor Theron Jackson and Pastor Alan Thompson here, as well as the hip-hop community, to bring unity back to the community once again. And a lot of the programs, the positive programs that we are promoting, we definitely would like to partner with yourself, Sister Dominique, as well as anyone that is serious about trying to create unity in our community and lower the temperature of violence.
Is there a way that, is there any such thing as, I guess, religious hip hop? I think that as churches are trying to reach out to the youth, sometimes the music changes to more hip hop, but still with a spiritual message in there. Is there a way that they both can coexist under these four walls?
Yes, I believe they can. When you look at music and you look at religion, you have to look at it like the sun and the moon. You look at night and day, you look at black and white, you look at everybody can't be a Jay-Z. Sometimes you have to have a little baby, you know. Everything that we go through dealing with this music and religion piece it coexists perfectly, it's about the perception of it. So if we don't correct our perception, we'll never understand how beautifully it really can go together. So you hear a lot of rappers, they speak of God in their music, they speak of different things, you know, and you hear a lot of preachers, they parallel their ministries and they parallel their sermons, and they use rapper terms, they use terms, and it's all about, like I say, perception, because you have to know what you're looking at in order to know what you're dealing with. You can't see this facade of something and just imagine, oh, this is what it is, and this is what it is, because you looking at us right now on this panel, and you look at Big Papa right here, and you know what type of music he makes. You know, he's a club music, you know what I'm saying? He's a club king, so, but you don't know him as a person, but your perception of it is, oh, he all bad, you know? Or my name, Knowledge, you know what I'm saying? It'll make you think that, oh, he's a great thinker, you know, he's an amazing artist that probably talks about the most consciousness of things, and that ain't always it. So you have to look at it and know really your perception of it, and know that church and music and hip hop basically, seriously, it's really a 2 and 2, you know what I'm saying? You can't have one without the other. And as long as you acknowledge and take the time to really look into each artist and each ministry, you know what I'm saying? We can all work together and come together for the greater cause.
I think I want to say, with that, with anything in life, it's balance. You're gonna have a positive and you're gonna have a negative. Like my boy Alan said, Pastor Thompson, it's your choice. You know, it's your choice on what it is that you want and what you like. But we're gonna have a negative and we're gonna have a positive, and that's just the way it balances out. But we have to find a way, which it can coexist, both of them, but we just have to find a way to not make the music, like you said, the perception, make the perception of the music that we're hearing a reality of where we're actually committing these crimes. You understand what I'm saying? We have to realize that it's just entertainment, you know, instead of just trying to live out the song.
Yeah, I think Master P said it best when he was making his music, is he was saying, you know, I don't let my kids listen to this music, right? That's amazing. Like, he's making money off of, you know, I mean, he's a long time ago, of course, but I used to listen to him, but like, you know, people thought that, his, you know, I think when his son went off to college and his children have been very successful, and I think that he said that he didn't allow his children to listen to the music, just like you were saying, it was just pure entertainment for him. Yeah, so this is Big Papa. Thank you for joining us. What is the what's misunderstood about hip hop or rap?
I mean, I can't say it's misunderstood, but I think a lot of people that want to be rappers, they've been guided wrong. Like they look at hip hop a whole different way these days. Like my brother Sack right here, like anything I need to know about hip hop, I always ask him and confirm it. I need confirmation on it before I speak on it. You know, so hip hop right now, they using hip hop. To me, they using hip hop. You know, they ain't spreading nothing positive. You got the ones that spreading something positive, everybody overlook that, they get 1 and 2 likes. But if we spreading something negative, and you talking about your brother or your sister under their clothes, oh man, you finna go viral in one day. I make club music, but I'm not perfect, I'm a human. Back in the days, I was quick to call a female, you know what. But I had a daughter, I had another daughter. I got a daughter that's 19 years old now. Like Sex say, it's growth. Like, I wouldn't want nobody calling my kids these type of words, and I got daughters now. So it wouldn't be right for me to do that type of stuff. In my music, as I growed, I watched my kids grow up. There were certain things I had to cut out. Even though the people liked it, it wasn't good for me. I didn't want my kids to hear me talking about this person like that, this person like that, because I teach them to treat everybody like they want to be treated. But with the music, it started at home. Like, I'm not finna sit up, if I had a son, I'm not finna sit up and let my son listen to this type of music all day about man, we gonna walk down on the op. We gonna kill him, his mamas and sisters. And you don't have that father figure in the house to tell him like, boy, cut that off. You ain't ready for none of that. So some of them don't have that in their ear. Ain't nobody telling them like, that ain't cool, that ain't this, that ain't that. Go to school, you're not getting the guidance at home. You meet somebody who's showing way more love than you get at home. Now you following their footsteps, and you're gonna run into the wrong thing out there. Then you creating beef. Nobody has a problem with you, but your friend problems become your problems, and that's how it spread. I watch it all day. I watch it all day, every day. I'm one of them people that, I mean, I guess I didn't get signed because I didn't want to speak on what they wanted to speak on. I didn't want to beef with nobody. I didn't want to make diss songs, talk about killing people. All my songs, I made people party. And like, right to this day, every little youngster I run up across, they want to do music. That's the first thing I tell them, bro. I can't deal with you if you're not gonna listen and you gonna try to make this type of song, this type of song. We gonna make a song where we trying to get your mama, your family, them out the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't finna do no beefing, because what come with that is the graveyard and the jailhouse.
That's right.
And I feel good because I met two guys. I even got a job now. I work at Red Ball Oxygen. So I got two guys. One of them, I had to put my pride to the side on that. You know, I had to put that to the side. I need to work and see what that legal, not rap money feel like. I want to know how 8 hours in a day, working hard, coming home to your family, good meal, take a shower, lay down. You don't have to worry about this, watch your back, worry about that. So I got two guys at my job. One of them started, he just came out of training Thursday. He was sleeping behind Family Dollars in the bottom. He was working there and he was sleeping behind it. So it was just on my heart. Every day I got off work, I went in there and talked to him. I even brought him the application. He not no rapper. So I brought him the application. Every day I go to work, I talk to my boss, man, like, man, you gotta pull him in. He gonna work. I know what he gonna do. So he started Thursday. He came in the break room to me. He shed tears. He was like, man, it's the best thing could have happened to me. It's the best. And man, y'all don't know how that made me feel, man. But that comes to show like that we all can show each other love, like show our brothers and sisters that type of love, pull them up when they down, man, this world will change. It's not only with the rap, it started in the communities too. You got people that's not rappers and they hate each other. For what? You know, for what? I'm glad my mama always still God in me.
That's right.
Back then, I didn't know God, but now I know God. I'm a changed man. A lot of people know looking at this dude on this stage, what I done been through and what I done did. I thank God for being here. So, I didn't come to talk y'all to death, but I'm 39 years old. That's my wife back there. She has a trach in her throat. That's Janice. Them both of my daughters, and that's my goddaughter. If I wouldn't have left them streets, I wouldn't be sitting here to tell y'all I have a family. I'll be dead and gone. I know this. But we're going to change it. And everybody on this stage, we're going to stick together and we're going to change it. I'll never get big and look down on my brothers like I'm bigger than them. Whenever they need me, I'm here. One call, I'm pulling up.
Wow. I mean, that's the testimony right there. That's where the religion and the hip hop comes together. Right. It doesn't mean that you have to give up one or the other, but that is the testimony right there. I want you to be in my documentary. I want all y'all to be in my documentary. Okay. Go ahead, Dr. Thomas.
Well, the point where hip hop and religion coming together, I think that hip hop is actually being used as a tool of mass communication for the sake of the current agenda, political agenda, through mass communication. If you notice, we don't own any radio stations, we don't own any record labels, and I think that the pressure lies upon those who control those entities to get our artists that currently are presented as hip hop to sell out.
And the agenda is already there. It used to be a secret. It used to be a secret what the agenda was. The agenda is already out there in the forefront. You know you got to sell out. You know you got to be on demon time. You know you got to be about that crazy business to even get signed or get noticed. So you have artists on the internet, on the worldwide internet, they trolling. They doing all type of crazy things for the money just to get the attention of the label. And the crazier acts that you perform on the internet, the more focus and the more attention you get. And so the thing has come that who's gonna out-clown or out-stunt the next person to get the most notoriety. And like Brother Sack said, I've been knowing him for years, and he was correct about it. The guy that's sitting next to the rapper that has made it big may be 3 times as more talented as the one that made it. But it's all about, are you willing to make that choice to sell your soul? I'm telling you rappers now, I started off being the first rapper out of Louisiana, out of Shreveport, and I'm not boasting or bragging about it. These guys that sit up here that are rapper, they are my friends. They know that I always treated them with respect. And the thing about it is, I stopped rapping and I cried. To be honest with y'all, my heart was broken because I knew that I had to sell my soul to make it. And I wasn't willing to do that because, I was a positive rapper at the time. I was speaking about conscious things that plagued our communities. Matter of fact, I have a video on YouTube right now you can go watch called Pure Knowledge. And that video was banned. They played it a little while on BET, but it was banned because it was so positive and it focused on the issues that plagued our community, African American people, and they took it down. And so I made a decision not to go forward and pursue my rap career, and God had another plan for me. So now I'm a rapper that turned pastor, and I don't make no
Pastor Jackson, with the various homicides that we've had in the community, and this is for any pastor that is eulogized someone at a funeral, but you often see the end part of it when there's a funeral. Is that a chance to be able to speak to the young people who come into the church because their friend is, at the front in a casket? Is that a chance or an opportunity to get that message out?
So I think the simple answer is yes. It is an opportunity to do that, but I think we have to be very careful because what ends up happening sometimes is we blame the victim. And I say that because so much of what we believe is reality is such media-generated stuff. And so when I told you earlier that people in the church, just like people in hip-hop, took a left because everybody chasing the bag, doing whatever they do. The truth of the matter is everybody's selling illusions, right? If I gotta say what I gotta say to get you in on Sunday mornings, that's cool. I don't even care if you don't come back to the next Sunday. I just need you to bring your offering, but that's my hustle, right? Everybody got these illusions. The illusion of the fact that if I can make one rap song, I'm gonna have all this stuff that somebody's written to make a video, quite frankly, and end up in the hole when the video is over. And all this is an illusion. And so the reality is that hip-hop has its own world. When it comes to religion, whether it be Islam, Christianity, Judaism, whatever it is, to understand that you got to get outside of these sanctuaries and these mosques to see what it's really supposed to be about, right? Meeting people where they are. And so I say that to say that, when we see victims of crime and we have a funeral and the place is filled with crime, that's a wonderful opportunity to say something about that. But we have to be sure we're not just, again, beating up, blaming the victims. The truth of the matter is there is 2 words that I hope everybody will remember today before you leave. One is converse and the other is congruence, right? There is a converse relationship between wealth and crime. Wow. There is a congruent relationship between poverty and crime. And 9 times out of 10, most people out here talk about running for office, being a leader, ain't talking about poverty at all. And if you don't talk about poverty, quit having these meetings about crime. Because until there is no poverty, there will always be crime. At the root of all crime is some sense of impoverishment, typically. I said to a person who wanted to run for judge, they said, somebody brought them to talk to me, and I said, well, I don't really have a lot of time to talk about this. What do you have to say about 2 issues that are important to me, poverty and equity? right? Because if equity is not a part of your conversation and reducing poverty is not a part of your conversation, and all you want to talk to me about is reducing crime, you're one of these people who think we can incarcerate our way out of the issues that we have. That cannot happen. So I think what we got to do is say to people that there are things that's happening on a higher level. I heard somebody talking about the person at the top. The person at the top ain't got no guns. The person at the top don't live in the hood. The person at the top is just making money and they don't look like you, right? When's the last time you heard a song get popular about shooting the white boys across town? Right? That ain't coming out. You know, you might get charged for making a song like that, right? And so all of this stuff is genocidal, and we got to be careful that while we're operating and very often trying to rearrange furniture in the gutter, the real difference is who's making the policy downtown in Baton Rouge and in Washington, D.C. If we're not dealing with policy, then we keep dealing with problems. We don't see that there's a connection between the problem and the lack of policy. We let folks, and I gotta just tell you, it doesn't matter if you're black or white. If you're down there where you're making policy and you ain't making a difference, it doesn't really matter. And so for us, I think we gotta be more focused on what really matters. And so when we have these meetings, we lament how many people got shot, how many people are dead, how many people now became more wealthy, how many people have now equity in the place where they work, how many people now are not being denied opportunity because there are not many people. I asked the person who was running for judge, how many people down in CCC right now who are under 21, whose parents made over $250,000 last year? I'll wait, none. Right? Because there is a congruence between crime and poverty. There's a converse relationship between wealth and crime. And so whenever wealth goes up, crime goes down. But whenever poverty goes up, crime goes up. And if we don't have people talking about what you do about poverty, then what you do about crime is a waste of time, because it will never be eradicated if you don't do something about poverty. So when I have those audiences, I take the time to look at the folks who come in there to try to feed off of that, you know, because somebody's running for something. And I say something to somebody about what really needs to happen so we can stop having these funerals. Yeah, it's about guns, but it's also, if I don't have a gun in my hand, I won't have, if I have a paycheck in my hand, then I won't have a gun in my hand. Amen. But if I don't have a paycheck, then I might have a gun. One of the two. Amen. And so at the end of the day, I'm trying to make it, right? And you can't get mad at somebody trying to make it. In America, they say the first law of nature is self-preservation and survival. Well, when you ain't got nothing, right, then you're doing what you have to do to get something. For those of us who know what it's like to be born into poverty and to grow up in poverty, I just thank God I'm not still in it, right? But I grew up in poverty, and let me tell you, for me, I grew up at a different time than these younger brothers. Because for me, you only want, you want what you can see. And back then, I saw some folks with a car and a house. Friends across town had a car. So I wanted to do whatever's necessary to get a car and a house. That was it, because to me, that was making it. But I came before the day when everybody's seeing everything right here, and they want a whole lot of stuff that they don't realize the world ain't set up for them to get. And as a result, they're chasing it and creating these underground problems trying to get hit, and they don't realize the world's not designed for you to have it. Because it doesn't matter how much money you got, they'll still force you to have credit. And nobody's telling them that, right? And so you're doing all of this, and you can't even put your money in the bank. If you can't put your money in the bank, you can't finance nothing, right? And so at the end of the day, somebody's got to be telling our people in our community the truth, that if we don't change poverty, then we will not change crime.
That's true.
Wow, powerful. That's powerful. And most of the time, so many people that are on social media are living a lie. Right? They're trying to impress. Yeah, trying to impress the audience. At this time, I'm going to open it up for people in the audience. If you would, you can come to the microphones here to ask any questions that you may have. I think Big Papa said something that really stuck out is like generational, like you had your daughters and you had to change. Anybody else want to talk about that, like just generational growth, generational wealth, things like that, before we have anybody come up?
Dominique, answer that. Would you ask that?
Oh, yes, Big Papa was talking about, on social media and just things that he had to change when he started his family and wanting to be positive, and he couldn't basically talk the way that he was talking with his music anymore because he had daughters out there watching him, or a niece out there. Anybody else have children, nieces, or sons for that matter, because really that's who we need to get to. In middle school is when we need to start getting these younger kids in middle school, because by the time they get to high school, it's too late. They've already made the friends. They've already decided who they want to hang with. They've already made that, am I going to be positive or be negative decision.
So I actually did not have to change anything as far as in my art on a personal level to I'm 28, so I must be the baby on the panel. So I'm 28, I'm born in 95. And I kind of just come from, this is my first time speaking. So I just been listening to the conversation, which is kind of how I wanted to come into the conversation as the baby, to listen, to hear what everybody had to say. And I do want to say this, that there has been a level of dismissal in the conversation. And that's just in the regard of the authenticity of art. Because art truly does reflect the times. And that's real. So we can talk about what's not real, but you still would have to look into why do we feed into it? Because it's something that's appealing to you. And that's addressing you and your nature on a very personal level. So I just want to say that, but no, I haven't had to change anything that I do to appeal to anybody else. If anything, when I came into doing the whole hip hop and doing art, I was pretty reserved because I wanted to be able to be accepted by certain things, but that wasn't in a wild way, not in a way of, shoot him, kill him, or nothing like that. Now it's more so, I feel like the best offering I could do is be honest, be my authentic self and tell my story to a T. So if this kid is talking about whatever he's talking about, I'm gonna pay attention to, first of all, what happened, what's going on, why are you talking about that? Why is this your substance? Listen to Papa love Papa music. I don't know him on a personal level. You know what I'm saying? I don't know him. I don't know him on.
Yeah. I don't know him on that level, but he's a human being at the end of the day, and that's the premise, that's the bottom line. So I just think we should really observe what's really going on in our community, what's going on a personal level, and really take a look at that, and let's not be so dismissive of, okay, the machine is putting out this, the machine is putting out, who buying? Because if wasn't nobody listening to it and wasn't so appealing, then what would be the issue? There's a lot of stuff coming out that we don't care nothing about. And that's good stuff, that's bad stuff, there's a lot of bad stuff that come out, I don't care nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? But also good and bad is subjective too, towards the individual. Good for you might not be good for me, and bad for you might not, it's not the same. So I just wanted to say that in the conversation at this point.
Good point.
I had to change, and it was on March 1st, 2003, I got shot 9 times. I did 2 days in ICU, 2 weeks in the hospital. Before I got shot, my mama started getting sick. After I got shot and after I got better, her health started declining. At that time, I was actually making a good headway with my music. Houston, Atlanta, Florida, I was doing a lot of traveling, and I was living a street life, basically. I had to get out of that. I put my whole music career on the back burner to take care of my mom. She told me I could put in a home or whatever I wanted to do and continue to pursue what I was pursuing, but no, I can't do that. That home would have killed you in like a year or two. I know my mom. So I put everything on the back burner to take care of her for like 7 years until she died, And during that whole transition, I was still messing with the music, but I wasn't recording as much. I was actually on the road with this guy here, helping him wherever he needed help. He's always been like a little brother to me. So I was always there in the background taking care of that. And during that process of taking care of my mom, I had a daughter. I had already had 2 sons. And once my mom did transition and I got back into the mode of making music, the growth was just there. I couldn't rap about some of the things that I was rapping about before because I had been through so much mentally that whole situation prepared me for, and the message in my music was totally different. So that's where I shifted, and I just try to make more positive, more real life, and more influential music these days. That's just my story.
Wow. Such a testimony, another testimony.
Well, yeah.
I lived the street life that came with being a rapper, and of course, I had a calling in my life that I was trying my best to ignore. I knew I had to call it, and so God actually convinced me by allowing trouble to behave. Trouble would get this close to me. Everywhere I went, when I was in the streets doing the things that I knew I shouldn't been doing, that came with the lifestyle. And so it got closer and closer. I would be in a home, and just right after I leave, the policeman would come, bust the house. I would be standing next to a guy, and just right after I walk across the street, the guys get shot. But one particular incident happened, and that let me know that if I would not have came out of the streets and changed my life and started doing what God called me to do, that I was gonna die. One of my friends just had got out of jail. We were in business together before he went to jail. And I shook his hand, and right after I shook his hand, I told him I was gonna get with him the next morning. I got in my car and drove about 2 blocks down and heard the gunshot. And I got back before the policeman and help arrived, and he was laying out in a pool of blood, had got shot, basically taking a shot with a shotgun in his head, and blood was everywhere. And so God spoke to my spirit. And if you ever had God to speak to you, God don't speak to you from the outside to the inside. He speaks to you from the inside out. And that's when God let me know that my time was up, that I couldn't do what I've been doing, and I had to come in and accept my call. And so that was the dramatic thing that happened in my life that made me understand that I had to accept my call or die doing what I was doing in the streets.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Thomas.
Yeah, I have a testimony. I had lots of changes in my life. I started rapping when I was 13. I got signed with a label in Bossier City. We was out of Ball City Records. I remember growing up, Big Papa, Big Sack. I remember going to doing shows with them and growing up. But where it turned on me, where life turned on me, is when I almost lost my brother when he was ran over by an SUV in Bossier City. And it almost took him out. He's back he's like us, but he's like a baby again. So he's only a year younger than me. Where it really took a turn on me is when I lost my son. I'm sorry. He was 10 years old. He was playing with a gun and he shot himself in the head. And I thought I felt like I was dying myself because that's my firstborn son, you know. And music and arts and all this stuff didn't even matter to me anymore. Only thing that matters to me is life. Only thing I want to do is live. I want to take care of my family, my mother, the people that's around me who love me, you know, who I love. And that's when I realized right then and there, after going through a bad marriage and people walking out on me, leaving me losing things, and sleeping out the back of my van, I didn't give up on myself. I I did not give up on myself. Instead of having negative anger, I had positive anger. I said I wasn't gonna lose no more. And I meant that. I had the meaning to myself. And God spoke into my heart and told me that I need to improve myself every day. So every day I think about what I can do to help others. You know, because it really, if you think about it, the perception is just an illusion of reality. If you change your perception, you change your reality. So it's all about who you are on the inside. Just like my man said, it's all about the choices you make. So you can be black, white, Chinese, or a Buddhist, or Christian, or Muslim. You can be rich, poor. You can have all the guns. You can have all the girls. You can have all the nice cars and big houses. No matter, you be on top of the world. You be Elon Musk. It don't even matter, because if you treat people like crap, all this stuff don't even matter. It really don't. Nothing. So what are we doing for others, and what are we doing for ourselves? That's the only thing that matters. Because do you want to live, or do you want to destroy it? And a lot of us want to live, but we destroy because we can't live. On the inside, we cannot live. We can't stand who we are. And that's why we listen to what we listen to. We get into the things we get into. We take these drugs. We drink this drink. We party like this because we don't like who we are. Once we start loving us, that's when the change comes. Love who you are. If you got big old feet and one arm, one little arm, and one big arm, love it. Because ain't nobody else gonna love you like you love you.
Wow. I feel like we need to continue this discussion even more and more. This has been an excellent discussion. We're not going to end it now. I'm just amazed by just the transparency, and I think that's what's needed with media too. I understand the reluctance of some people wanting to share their story with media because sometimes people don't trust the media. However, I think if it's a life-changing story like all of you have shared with us, somebody's going to change. You're going to reach somebody, even if it's one person, and that one person is going to reach out to the next person, and that's how we change. So it's been some amazing, amazing testimonies up here, and just being transparent and talking about it. There was a young lady that was standing. She was standing first, and then we'll take her, and then we'll take you, ma'am. Okay.
Hello, my name is Shaleria. So I don't have a particular question. I just like to say that I noticed that with a lot of the answers that you all gave, that the historical context was missing. So my father was born in 1970. Ronald Reagan was president from 1981 to 1989. And so my father talked about how he didn't hear the term war on drugs until Ronald Reagan became president. And so through him sharing his life with me, I was able to understand that a lot of these things that we're experiencing are things that are done to us. They're natural reactions to the circumstances that we're in. And so I just like to say that while we are exploring these things about if religion has taken a backseat to hip-hop, Pastor Jackson said something about that religion and hip-hop have both found themselves in the backseat of the wrong car, and how we have allowed the oppressors to educate our children. There are some authors that I'm going to list who, while we were allowing the oppressors to educate our children, the oppressor was also banning these books. They were banning these books because inside of these books, you'll find the language to communicate with the children who don't want to talk to you. You'll find the language to connect with the youth who have taken a life. You'll find the language to help understand yourself better and your community better. There are books like Bell Hooks, Salvation, Black People in Love, Bell Hooks, People in Politics, Loving Blackness as Political Representation, Their Eyes Are Watching God. There are so many authors whose works have been banned in silence simply because you all mentioned the machine. The machine is a real thing, but it's deeper than we think. It goes into the books that we're not allowed to read, the books that are not in school. I went to an all-black school, and I hadn't heard of a lot of these black authors until I started to do the work on my own. So I just wanted to say that the historical context is important to the work that we're doing, because religion and hip-hop have both been left out to dry. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, amazing. I totally can agree with you. I'm from the state of Florida, where Governor DeSantis, in his made national news, has banned many of the African American books. In fact, my aunt works at a school, and they were told to, she didn't, but throw away a lot of the books of African American authors, or that was about African Americans. And so she went out to the dumpster, to a dumpster full of books. And so I have those books now because I think it's important, like the historical context you were saying, and learning all about, like, before the Mayflower, Eyes on the Prize, and things like that, because I wasn't taught that in school. And I think if we have pride, and this is what we learned a little bit in the documentary that we do, if you have pride in where you're from, then a lot of this won't even happen, because we want to make our forefathers happy, you know, the Harry Blakes, you know, thinking of all of them, Galilee Baptist Church, pastor there, and all of the ones who fought so hard for us back in that time locally here in the Shreveport-Bossier area. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sister Audrey, Nation of Islam, Sister Audrey X. Beautiful programs, very, very beautiful, very inspiring. I commend all of you brothers on stage for your transparency, for your concern, and for your love that you have, which is actually the main thing that's missing from us. We got so many factors that's working against us as Black people. We rely on everybody else to do everything for us that we can do ourselves. We rely on the police to police our neighborhoods. Then we're upset when the beast comes in our neighborhood and beats up one of our sisters, kills one of us. But we have to stand in front of those officers and resolve some of these conflicts ourselves. We didn't always have them to govern us. But we so far away from ourselves that we don't even miss it. We don't even know that we are the commanders of ourselves. That's right. We think they are the commanders of us. And in the Nation of Islam, one reason why we're not publicizing things that we do in this very city is because the media doesn't want us to see us in a positive light. They don't want to see that. They don't want to see this brother helping a homeless brother get a job. They don't want that to happen because somebody might see it and say, hey, I can do that too. And next thing you know, you got another one that's employed making legal money. Then you got another one that's employed making legal money, and you don't need them for anything. When you tap into the God that's within all of us, these young brothers can do anything, but they haven't been taught. They don't know that it's in them to do it. Nobody have to tell us to do stuff. It's in us. We gods. We got to know that. Tell somebody else. We are gods. Children of the Most High God. We're not flunkies. We're not stooges. We're not N-words. We're not thugs and all them other words. B's and the H word and all of that. That's not us. But we have got so comfortable and so divorced from our natural self that we don't even know that. And we are so accustomed and so trained by this enemy that they don't even have to tell us to hate each other. We do it anyway. Automatic. I don't like you. I don't know why. I just don't like you. I can't stand her. I hate him. All that is the self-hatred that we got inside of us. That's why it's so easy for young brothers to kill another brother, because they trying to kill what they hate that they have in themselves. They trying to kill that nigga that's in them that they hate. That's right. And the wicked people that's controlling all of this money, that's what they put money into to blow it up. And us, having lost the knowledge of ourselves, pick right on up on it. We want the money, we want the cars, we want this and want that. But like the Scarface song says, you never seen a man cry till you see a man die. So everything is all good while the money is flowing. But when death comes knocking, the tears run out your eyes because you realize, what was it all for? We got to make sure that our babies, our young people know that it's okay to be an old person. That's the goal.
Yes, sir.
That's the ultimate goal, to be old and go in your sleep. Not to die in the bottoms, in the middle of the street. And all they got you on TV now. Now, let me calm down. I get real fired up about this kind of stuff. I have 2 sons as well, 23 and 19. They from Lakeside. We from Lakeside. It's no palace living over there. Our family has been over there for 3-4 generations. That's where we're from. I brought my children up in a single home. But I always told them when they were small, I said, you see how the TV put all these black faces on this TV? Turn the news on. That's the first thing you're going to see. Who did this? Who did that? They arrested. They looking for this one. They looking for that one. They done got him running from the police and all this kind of stuff. And then they tell you the zip code. 10 murders in Zephaniah 03, and this is the murderous one. But when you get to 7-11-12 and 7-11-08 and all these other, you don't hear about it. There's much stuff going on as we do. But they're not going to tell you that, and it's only because they want us to keep thinking negatively about ourselves. Now, you got classism that's within the black community. You got those that call themselves, I have made it. That means I don't live by black folks no more. Yeah. But see, they don't want you where you moved to anyway. You still where you at, you just in a different location. So when we see those black faces on TV, it causes us that have made it to look at them people like, boy, them niggas are clown. I can't believe them. That's what they do. So now we hating them some more. Then you got the ones that is still in the hood that see their peers on TV causes them to hate themselves more. So where's the love? Everything bad is on TV because evil has been made fair seeming. Anything bad is good now, as some of the panelists have said. We rely on the cops to fix us. We rely on a politician to fix the stuff. Hello. We rely on everybody but ourselves. There's no problem that we can't fix. We have survived almost 500 years of being enslaved, and we can't straighten all this out. Come on now. We not weak. We not punk. We can't be afraid of each other. Now, I'm gonna take my seat. Y'all might not invite me back, but it's all good though. I'm gonna say this. With our sisters class, once a month we go to an apartment complex, take money out of our pockets, fix sandwich bags, take them to an apartment. Now, we don't get no faith-based initiative. We don't get nobody to sponsor us. It's coming out of our pockets. So we for several times, probably about 7 or 8 times, we have gone to Clear Horizons, Illinois apartments. We make 75, 100 sandwich bags, take them to the children. Here, y'all eat. You're so beautiful. You're such a handsome young man. Take care of your mama. Y'all be good. Y'all watch after each other. That's what we do. We do that. You don't believe me? I can show you the pictures. I can show you pictures from 4 or 5 years ago when we do this. Our next target place is going to be the Peachtree Apartments. Now, I know some of you brothers are from Cook Road area. We'll certainly get with you and make that a big event. We do a community service event once a month, the sister side does. And the brothers are out all the time, on their own dime. So I'm just imploring, begging, pleading with all of us. Don't be afraid of our people. Don't be afraid of people that look just like you. Love the people that look just like you. Because just like we got a hand and we all in here, we not toting no guns and shoot nobody. Nobody in here is.
No, ma'am.
The ones who doing that is in the streets, and that's where we gotta go to get our people. As Brother Theron said, and somebody else said, we can't tell that brother to put that gun down and don't go rob that store if he don't have nothing to eat. Make a job for him. Help him make a job for himself.
Amen.
Take him to a job. Get
go?
him hooked up on a job. That's how a lot of us got a job anyway. Somebody hooked us up.
Yeah.
That's how I got my job. I've been there 24 years now. Hook each other up. Love each other. Don't be afraid of each other. Don't be afraid of the nation. We don't fight, but we love our people. We in the black people business, and that's what we do. And we all need to be in the black folks business. Last thing I told you I was gonna sit down. I promise I am. I have a son he's a barber, but he's also a rap artist. So, got a couple of songs where he said he got a bad beat. Now his girlfriend is in the video. So I chastised him on that. Don't call her that. And I told her, you don't let him call you that. That's not you. You got a girl dog, that's what that is. That's not you. You won't want nobody to say that about your mama. She's somebody's mama, don't say it about her. I have 2 brothers, 2 sons. I have my husband standing right there. I have a lot invested in black men. Black women need black men. We need y'all. We love y'all. Y'all black men are the only ones that's gonna see after us. And we'll be right by your side. As anybody can attest to, we'll do anything for y'all. All we need is for y'all to love us and protect us. Help us bring up these children correctly. You see a young brother out of line, go to him in a nice way. Go to him with love. You're going to get nothing but love back. I guarantee you that's what the nation does. But I take my seat, and I thank you for my time, and I do apologize. But I had to get it out my chest. I thank you for the time.
I'm just going to ditto on that. But there is something that the question was asked earlier. In the Christian faith, and that's what I am. I'm a Christian. But that's just a word. That's just saying that God, I believe in a certain way.
Amen.
One of the main things that I loved about the scriptures about Jesus is in the scriptures. He said, I'm going to leave the 99 and go find the one. Right. See, we are responsible for the one. That's the first thing. Yes, we are responsible to go out and find the lost, because sometimes they're in a place so dark that you are the only light that they'll see at that moment. Help is on the way. Sometimes that's all a person needs from a dark space.
Amen.
You have a panelist today that I've known ever since he was small. That's my Cody. And when I tell you he's had the strength to endure, even through adversity, adversity has always been the black man's strength.
Yeah, that's right.
Adversity. Not things being made easy. The worst thing that could have ever happened to black people was the government called Mr. Welfare Man. We need to stop being welfare minded if we must use the system, because our forefathers worked. If you need it, be a welfare recipient. I'm only here to draw on the account that my forefathers worked to help make this country be. But I'm not here to be here on 3, 4, 5, 6 generations.
That's right.
We are creative people. We're the only people that can go in the icebox and see nothing and come back with what we call gumbo. We women are creators. We are the only one can take a seed and bring you back a 9-month baby in 9 months. But it takes your seed for me to bring forth your dream. That's your future. And when you sell us out, the difference in what used to be the love songs, baby, baby, we was baby, sweet mama, sugar mama, big daddy. Y'all was big daddies, big papa, sugar daddy, sugar papa. But you'll sell us out. The difference in us being the B-I-C, you know the word, and baby, is $1 million. You just sold your baby, the mother of your child or future child, your future generation. You just sold us out for what? We have survived.
Hello. Hello.
Most women don't want $1 million. We want your time.
Hello.
We want your conversation. We want your heart, your soul, your strength, because black men are nothing but pure, unadulterated strength. How do you think you survived the Middle Passage? Right. What happened? And women. Oh yes, I got to get on us too. We done let the other folk make us put our men in jail. We think because we make 2 cents more than us, we run a thing and they no longer are in their position. No. If they gonna be a king, a man is gonna be a king somewhere. Amen. And if he ain't a king in your home, he'll find a home somewhere else. He gonna be a king somewhere because they are born to kingship.
Hello.
God made them kings. He gave them authority. But in the position we in, we are their queens. So their kingdom becomes our kingdom too. So how are we building our kingdoms? How are we bringing forth our kings and our little queens that are going to take up? That man said something. I loved hip hop back in the day. Preacher's daughter, but my daddy taught me to love all music because he said all music comes from God. The only thing that changes is the words that you do, because fall in love with Jesus, if I don't be careful, I'm thinking about who? When you hear falling in love with Jesus, that it's some songs that song like that. So the only difference is the words. And Ice-T and Ice Cube were 2 great rappers. But the first time I saw Ice-T walking around with his woman with a collar around her neck, holding it like she a dog, and our black little sister started coming around talking about wearing a collar on your neck, the only thing I want to wear is a diamond. And don't even have to wear that. I want some papers that say, I'm the woman. I am the woman. Like this man pointed out his wife and didn't have no problem saying it. My wife is the one with the trach in her neck. And the other man, it don't matter. I'm in love with who she is on the inside. What the outside do is irrelevant. And what we want as far as the churches are concerned, both of them have taken a back seat. Because the people are tired of prophets in the pulpit, P-R-O-F-I-T, robbing the people instead of the other prophet that is telling us what we need to do. And we are tired of our pastors. A lot of us can't trust them no more. The word of God told them to feed the sheep, not breed the sheep. And men are not trusting their families to the people that we used to go to. So we can't blame hip hop. We can't blame the blues. We can't blame soul music. We can only blame us as individuals, as being stated by these men up here. This man made a choice. And when he changed his life to take care of his mother, if anything can bring a man in, when God can't, let something happen to a mama that stayed on her knees praying for her sons and her children and her generations to come. And he will change. We can't lose faith in our children. I don't care what they say they may be. I call it like I see it. I didn't have nothing but men, great black men, destined for something. I don't care what they may be doing right now. I'm going to trust in what God created them to be. And God created everybody in this world for some type of greatness. We have to choose it. This sister is my sister. I don't care what religion she is in. We got the same thing going on. Children that need to be prayed for. It's just as good for her prayer for my child. It's just as good as mine for hers. And for our husband and for our men. No, it ain't gonna be no crowd here today, Sister Dominique, because ain't no mess going on. It ain't gonna be no whole lot of TVs going, but you let one person get up in here and shoot somebody in the gun, baby, we'll have so many folks in here trying to be nosy. But this is what we need. And brother, it's good to see you again. And this is not going to stop. Minister Thane, Minister Marvin, and all you ministers of our Most High God. The role you are in today are ministers. Hip hop is a ministry when it is used right. The gospel is a ministry when it's used right. The blues, any way you want to sing it, say it, rap it, tap it, do what you want with it. But make it a ministry that is for salvation of our people. Yesterday, today, and forevermore. And I will take my seat.
Thank you, thank you. I just want to give a shout out in the audience to Ron Collins. Thank you, with the Shreveport Sun, the state's oldest newspaper, black oldest newspaper. Thank you so much for doing what you do and covering our stories. T.
I want to ask this question.
Yes, Lord.
Specifically, I want to give a specific person to answer this question. So I'm going to give it to a rapper and a pastor. The rapper that I want to use, I want you to answer this, high boy. And Pastor Theron, I want you to answer. What do we do to bridge the gap between the hip-hop community and the religious community? You got the question? What do we do to bridge the gap between the hip-hop community? When you're thinking about hip-hop, you're thinking about Lil Boosie going to jail. You think about YFN Nelly on trial for 3 murder charges. So you think about all the negatives when you think about hip-hop. So that means that those guys got millions of followers. Boosie can influence our whole city. If Boosie was here today, it'll be filled. I just got such and such killed. We're gonna listen to that, and then we're gonna try to emulate that. So that means we're getting further and further away from God. So I'm asking you, and I'm asking the pastor, what do we do to bridge that gap to make us come back into being God conscious?
To answer that question, I would say that it goes with the support. So people see Boosie, people see YFN Lucci, people see Young Thug, they get in trouble, and their audience wants them to free them. But when we look in the courtrooms, you never see the Nation of Islam standing beside somebody like Boosie. You never see the Christians at the courthouse, saying the same message. So if we were to incorporate that, where these people are supporting these people, our leaders, but they don't want to stand beside people like Boosie because of the message. Boosie's 40 years old, and he's still talking about, I got a stick in the car. Boosie still promotes violence. So that organization don't really want to tie themselves in with what Boosie has going on. That's kind of like what Papa was saying when he was up here. He said these youngsters come to him and want him to do music with them, but Papa like, hey, I make this type of music. If you're gonna dabble in this and dabble in this, then I can't be a part of it because that affects his brain. And what these guys are doing, that affects their brain. But like my brother right here told us earlier, in 1997, after the Tupac and Biggie situation, reached out and he was able to get Minister Farrakhan to stand beside him in his situation. So if you notice at that time, that's kind of what Snoop started to change as well. So it's like, if we can get these people who do have these major platforms to kind of change their message and still align with the community and have Christianity, the Nation of Islam, and people like that to stand beside them and feel comfortable, and we can promote this message on both platforms, from the church and through the music, and through the media, comfortably. That's my answer.
I just will echo and say that more of what we're doing today would help. Because the truth is, people don't know each other. And we blame each other, but we don't even know each other. And we can't work together if we don't know each other. I wish he had not left just yet, but today, I'll give you a great example. Big Papa, who was sitting right there, before he left said, "I was just glad to meet you. I listen to you every Sunday." He said, "I got to come in fellowship with you." So what happens is, for those of us who call ourselves religious, whether we call ourselves Christians or whatever it is, as a Christian and from my tradition, I harken back to a book in the Bible, the book of Acts. In Acts chapter 9, there was a bad actor whose name was Saul. Saul is supposedly converted. We believe he's converted legitimately, but the folk who weren't there didn't know he was different. So when he rose up in the church, all they know is the Saul they used to know. So everybody in the church was like, ah. But there was a brother in the back whose name was Barnabas. Barnabas became his credential. He said, "Hey, y'all didn't know him, but I saw him. I've seen him. I know what he's about. He's a good brother." And the rest of the church said, "Okay." So what has to happen is, if we're going to build a bridge, I need Big Papa as a credential. Or else I can't really say nothing to the rest of the brothers. But if Big Papa says, "Oh, he's good," then I got an ear from brothers who will listen, because I may have something that they need to say, but they otherwise will not have listened, because all they know is, I ain't trying to hear all that preaching stuff. Right. And then the other way around, where these, you ain't been in church, you hip hop, but if we don't have credentials in both places, then there's not credibility in either place. And in order to build a bridge, you can build a bridge if you want, but it's like somebody was saying, we need to have open doors. Well, if you got open doors on a burning house, I ain't trying to go in there. Right. So I think we got to have the kind of scenario and understanding where we recognize we don't understand each other, but if we really want to, then I don't have the right to just go over there and say to them, "Hey, I'm here." And they don't have the right to show. Somebody needs to be a credential. And what happens is, these kind of forums create the kind of relationships that create the kind of credibility and the kind of credential that then opens worlds up that neither of us live in. And then we get into those, because, as the sister was saying, we're all the same. I mean, you can take whatever label you want, but when you start getting identified, you're all the same, right? And so I think at the end of the day, I think we got to have that sense that we need each other. And I don't have a right to your attention. I have to earn the right for you to give me your attention. And a credibility, a credential would help. And so I think we need each other in that regard.
How's everybody doing? All right. My name is Terrence Cash, but I'm your man, host, man. Look, I've been going there and go over 50 years to see Mom. And what y'all said on stage is like the rapping and stuff. I'm gonna tell you, I think, man, like you rap, you tell the children, hey, them bullets gonna hurt, they gonna kill you. When you rob a bank, you gonna go